Order the Cumberland School Committee meeting on Thursday, May 20th, 2021 at 7:34 p.m. In accordance with Governor McKee's Executive Order 21-40 dated April 28th, 2021, the Cumberland School Committee intends to conduct this meeting remotely. The public can participate in this meeting remotely, but not in person, by calling 1-301-715-8592, webinar ID 978-7198-2459, or join via Zoom by going to the Cumberland Schools website to the events calendar and clicking on the Zoom link. Next item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And our apologies to everyone, to the public, for us starting so late. Our executive meeting went long too. So here we are. Let's get started. So the first item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. And in compliance with Governor Executive Order 21-40 dated April 28th, 2021, a discussion and vote on whether there is public access to the meeting through adequate alternative means. And I believe we do have the public available tonight. I see some people attending. So I need a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Fiorella.
Second. Oh.
Second by Mrs. Rogalski. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, 7-0. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda, which is item A, approval of minutes from the regular meeting 4/29/2021, the joint fiscal subcommittee / school committee special meeting from May 5th, 2021, approval of minutes from the executive session April 29th, 2021, the enrollment report from May 1st, 2021, the school police report from April 1st, 2021, school bus inspection reports, May 1st, 2021, residency truancy report, May 1st, 2021, and the personnel actions, which I'll just read out loud. The resignation of Kelly Tochi, grade 1 teacher at BF Norton, effective June 30th, 2021. The unpaid personal leave of absence for Charlotte Doherty, kindergarten teacher at community school for the 2021-2022 school year. And then we have 5 coaching appointments. Travis Pereira, lacrosse boys JV, Kenneth Cardoso, baseball at McCourt, Stephen Casavant Jr., softball at McCourt, Brendan Collins, softball at NCMS, and Edward Regano Jr., baseball at NCMS. So I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to.
Motion by Mrs. Rogalski.
Second.
Second by Mr. DeMonica. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it, 7-0.
No, I'm sorry. I'm going to abstain from part of this as I was not at the April 29th meetings. So I will approve from C through G. And I'll abstain on A and B. My apologies.
Okay.
Just a point of clarification, Madam Chair, for a solicitor. Mr. Adams, even though a school committee member may have not been present, are they allowed to vote on these items?
So there's no prohibition on it. They on voting on those items, but it's not. There's no requirement either. I don't think.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is report out of executive session meeting on May 20th, 2021, report out of the executive session votes. There's no report out tonight, and I need a vote to seal minutes of the executive session.
Motion seal. Mints.
Motion by Mr. Collins, second by
Second.
Rogalski. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it, 7-0. The next item on the agenda is the superintendent's report. Mr. Mitchell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, members of the school committee and everyone in attendance this evening. And as Madam Chair said, we apologize. We appreciate your patience and it did go a little longer in executive session. So thanks to all of you who are still hanging in there for this meeting. Madam Chair, we would like to have George Rocha, the President of Student Government, give a report. I see that George is in attendance this evening. George, you ready to go? Hey, how are you?
Yes, I am. Hi, Mr. Mitchell. How's it going?
Going very well, thank you.
Okay, yeah. So, hi, everyone. I would first like to mention that I am very honored to be a part of these meetings, whether it be through Zoom or like in the past in person. Today, I will be highlighting the key events that student government members pursued throughout the school year. So to begin the year, each class created a shirt to sell for Virtual Spirit Week. We also created a school shirt, which was sold to the students as well. We then had a Virtual Spirit Week, which contained theme days and events such as bake contests and a virtual lip sync competition. We then transitioned into our annual Thanksgiving event, which is dubbed Turkey Baskets. This event is the gathering of donations with the goal of making care packages for underprivileged members of the community. This event was during the peak pandemic, and we still have the ability to produce one of our best years of turkey baskets yet. So we were very proud with the turnout, and we were also very glad we could aid these certain members of the community. Next is Adopt Family, which was our gift giving event. We again bought gifts for underprivileged families in our community, and it turned out to be a great success. Next, we hosted and organized schools blood drives, which were very successful. Excuse me. We then organized our annual Pennies for Patients fundraiser during the pandemic, which led us to a whopping $4,600 raised. And from there, we had our break and came back with the intention to spread positivity. We then decided to hang positive banners on the walk bridge, and we received a lot of positive feedback. Also in April was a nationally acknowledged week of teacher appreciation. And for this event, we wrote letters to our teachers and made gift bags filled with an assortment of candy. Moving forward, May was about each class's respective prom and next school year. Junior prom itself was a great night, and we were hoping for another on June 8th when our senior prom awaits us. It was great working with everyone from freshman year to senior year in student government, and I was glad to work alongside Mr. Curran and attend these school meetings throughout these 4 amazing years at Cumberland High School. Unfortunately, I am a senior, so today's school committee meeting will be my last report ever. And with that being said, I am beyond thankful for all you have done for me and the students of Cumberland High School. We appreciate it greatly, and thank you so much.
Thank you, George. And I'm reminded of when we first met. George, for everyone's information, was one of the students involved in our educational planning as part of the building referendum, the $83 million bond referendum. We were required to gather a group of our constituents, including parents, teachers, administrators, and students. And George was one of the student representatives who helped us develop a plan for the architect who is using some of the plans that we developed as part of the architectural design for our school. So George, as you can tell, is a special young man, and it's been a pleasure for us to work with you, George. Good luck. We know that you're going to be really successful moving forward. So thank you for all that you've done for the Cumberland School Department. Moving on then. I invited Madam Chair and I had a conversation about all of the planning that is taking place for end of year activities, including graduation and some of the other senior activities that are taking place. And I asked Mr. Costa if he would be available this evening to give the school committee and members of the public in attendance this evening an overview of the many activities that are happening between now and the end of the school year. So I see Mr. Costa is with us this evening, so I will turn it over to him. Mr. Costa.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell, and good evening, everyone. So yeah, after April vacation, the mind of a principal shifts very, very quickly. We become party planners for a lot of what we do towards the end of the year. And this year is no different as our COVID restrictions continue to loosen up. So that we have, as George said earlier, we have already had our junior prom. It was held in Warwick at the Crown Plaza. It was attended by about 117 students. And it was very successful. And I do believe the kids had fun there. So the things coming up now is we have a community showcase on May 29th, which is kind of an arts in the park. We're doing activities both inside and outside. Band will be performing dances. There'll be the dance team will be performing. So we are well underway in terms of planning for that. We also have and then we will have our Distinguished Scholar ceremony. Oh, I apologize. Let me go back a little bit. We have already inducted approximately 80 students into the National and Rhode Island Honor Society this year. So we had that ceremony in the auditorium. So then we will be honoring our top scholars of the graduating class on June 1st with that Distinguished Scholar ceremony. And then we still have some decisions that we need to make. So our senior award ceremony, we will give out about 80 awards that night, but there'll be about 50 kids receiving those 80 awards. So we know with a couple invitees for each kid, we can fit in the auditorium. But when we talk about underclassmen awards, significantly more students will be getting awards that night. So we are thinking about maybe for that event, it might be a student-only event. And because we know parents would still have that opportunity, those students' senior years. That event is scheduled for June 15th. So we're being slow in terms of how we communicate for that event because we know things continue to change. We have senior prom coming up. Senior prom this year will be way different than any other senior prom we've ever had. It'll actually be on campus under a very large tent that it will be set up in the back of the school. So I do think the kids are very excited about this. It is something completely new. The event planner takes care of all aspects of the event. So we're very excited about that. And then the big one will be graduation. And that's not to say that we're not going to have our senior parade this year. We will be reaching out to the Cumberland Police Department to talk about our graduation parade, which hopefully we can do the day before graduation on June 9th. And then on June 10th. And then on June 11th, we'll have our graduation. Graduation this year will be at Tucker Field. We're looking at 6 tickets per student, which will cap us out at about 2,200 people at Tucker Field. 2,200 is 300 people below the state requirement that we submit a proposal to the business board. So we're still underneath that number. There have been some questions from the community about social distancing at those events. And as we get closer to that graduation date, we will be sending more information out to our graduating families. We have asked for additional chairs. We've been working with Mr. Crowley with Parks and Rec to determine where we can set up chairs on the turf field. So there'll be additional chairs than in the past when there have been graduations at Tucker Field. We have already contracted with a sound company that will be erecting a stage. So things are very well underway in terms of graduation. What we need now is we need some really good weather that Friday night. So we're not looking towards a Saturday graduation. I would like to say too to the community that while graduation on Friday night would happen at night, we figured a rain day graduation on a Saturday would best serve the community holding it in the afternoon. Because if families have things planned for Saturday night, we figured a 3 o'clock graduation would still give them ample time to keep those plans intact. Outside of those 2 days, we would be looking at an indoor graduation in the Wellness Center. We know that we can have approximately 1,200 people in the Wellness Center, which would limit us to the graduate and 2 guests being there. But I think with good weather, we'll be in good shape for a June 11th graduation. Mr. Mitchell, I'm not sure if there was anything else you wanted me to add.
No, I think that was an excellent summary of the many things that you are preparing for. I'll tell you, one of the things that I remember most about being a principal, a high school principal, was it's always busy. There's always something to attend. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. I mean, there are 1,500 students in the high school, and there's a lot of activity. But I think you have to actually be in the position to fully appreciate how crazy things get after April vacation. There are lots and lots of activities that you have to organize and attend. So good for you. And things are starting to get back to a more normal routine. So thank you, Mr. Costa.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you.
Moving on then, Madam Chair. We like to give you an update of the positive cases that we're experiencing in the district. Mike, if you could put up that spreadsheet, please. Thank you, Mike. Just very quickly, everyone. I will include this spreadsheet in my weekly communication. We like to keep people apprised of the number of positive cases that that we have experienced since the last time we presented. And as you can see, the totals across line 15, that is the total number of positive cases district-wide for students, the total number of positive cases for staff, all of the students and staff that have been quarantined as a result of being a close contact, and the number of closures we've had, the number of pods that have been impacted. The good news is, as we all know, we hear on a regular basis that the number of, or the percentage of positive cases is decreasing. And, there is a direct connection to the number of people that are being vaccinated. So good for you, for all of those individuals that have taken that step. As you all know, we are providing an opportunity for students between the ages of 12 and 15 to be vaccinated. There's going to be a slight change to the second vaccination date. Instead of June 11th and 12th at it's Ann and Hope, right? Ann and Hope. It's going to be on June 10th. And the reason that that date is going to be changed is because it conflicted with graduation on the 11th. And if the 11th is a rain date, then the 12th. And we're working with the town EMS workers to organize this. And I'll be sending out some information on that tomorrow. So the good news is things seem to be quieting down a little bit. That's always a good news. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mike. Okay, just a few more things, Madam Chair, just very quickly. In-person learning, as you all know, students in grades K1 and 2 and 9 through 12 are back for in-person learning 5 days a week. Grades 3 through 8, because of RICAS testing and all of the scheduling that goes into preparing a testing schedule for students, not only students in person. The big challenge has been to accommodate the distance learners, because we are required per the Rhode Island Department of Ed to provide testing for those students as well. All students are going to be back full in person. Those students in grades 3 through 8 will be returning on June 1st, the day after Memorial Day. So we're getting really, really close to that. So by all accounts, things, at least in the schools, are going very smoothly. And again, it's nice to be getting back to some sense of normalcy. Students and staff have been great in dealing with the ramifications of this pandemic. Moving on, the last thing that I would like to share with all of you, Madam Chair, and everyone in attendance this evening, our OPM rep, owner's project manager representative from Colliers, Holly Demers Sawyer, is here this evening to give you an update as to where we are with the building projects, the first ones that we are going to be starting. Actually, they've already really started. The planning has started and we're getting ready to go. So a lot of work is going to be done this summer. So with that, I'll turn it over to Holly.
Thank you, Superintendent. Thank you for having me here this evening. We've had an incredibly busy month. Everything is really ramping up. The design documents were approved by Rhode for both the swing space as well as McLaughlin Cumberland Hill. We then had a meeting with the building committee on May 10th, where the construction documents were presented and reviewed and approved for submittal to Rhode. That happened, and we've already received approval on those documents this past week with comments. An RFP, a request for proposal, for the move management of the furniture from the elementary school to the transitional building also went out to, I believe that went out on the 12th of May. Yesterday, we had a walkthrough with the movers. 3 companies showed up, and we walked through with the principal and members of the district to have a clear understanding of the needs. And it was great. There are 3 big companies that do this all the time, so we're pretty confident they understand the scope, and we will do an addenda with questions that came up and added services that we will request for pricing just in case it's needed. We also went out with an RFP for the actual general contractors, which went out, I believe, on the 13th of May. And today we walked both properties, both the transitional building as well as Cumberland Hill, and had a great turnout. There were 9 or 10 general contractors that showed up. As far as the crowd goes, it was probably 15 people, but so we walked the property and the schools, and questions were asked, and there's lots and lots of interest, which was very exciting. Those bids are due back on June 11th, and the bids for the move management are due back the end of next week. So with all of that, everything is, going exactly as we had planned. It was just very exciting to see the interest in the school construction, understanding that the work at the transitional building is a very tight time frame. So we also met with Mr. Coster, the principal, last week to go over logistics, this furniture in the transitional building that needs to be stored and or moved to the high school. And what the plan now is for the furniture at McLaughlin, it'll be stored in the gymnasium at the transitional building. It won't be there long. It'll be there, the move will start on the 28th. We'll see what the movers are proposing as far as how long it'll take. It could take 4 days with the few guys or 2 days with 20. So we'll see what the pricing comes out at. But overall, everything is working well. And the E&E company who's doing the Univent work, they've started, and the timing of getting the Univents, which we were concerned about, is no longer an issue. So that it was thank you for allowing that to go out early, because that really could have been a hiccup in the process, but that's no longer a problem. So that's pretty much it. I think the next time we meet, we'll have numbers back and recommendations for contracts. We do have a building committee set for June 16th. The bids come back on the 11th, so that gives us a few days to really go through them and make sure that we have competent movers. General contractors. The nice thing today is there were lots of reputable general contractors. There weren't any there that couldn't handle the scale of these projects, which was great to see. That's pretty much it.
Thank you, Holly. And I think it's important for everyone to know that that we meet at least once a week, and many times it's more than once a week. And if we're not meeting as a team, and by a team I mean Holly and other members of her team from Colliers, the architect, members of Cumberland's team, Alex, Mike, we meet every week, and sometimes there's more than one meeting. And the thing that I think is important for not only the school committee, you all know this, but members of the public to know is that the responsibility of the OPM really is to protect our interests. And I can tell you, having been in just about every single solitary meeting that we've had over the last couple of years, there's no question that Holly is definitely taking care of us and keeping our best interests in mind. She challenges a lot of things in a respectful way. Given her experience, it's just good for people to know that. So thank you, Holly. We appreciate your support and your work as we work our way through this.
Thank you.
Okay, Madam Chair, that concludes the rather lengthy superintendent's report this evening.
Great, yes, and I echo all of Mr. Mitchell's sentiments, Holly, for all the work that you're doing and helping us through this. Very exciting time, lots going on. I also wanted to thank George, also, to echo what Mr. Mitchell said, for his commitment to Cumberland High School and to student government and to the students. His energy and enthusiasm really is a great light that spreads throughout the school. And I also wanted to thank Mr. Costa. My son graduated last year. And so I am so excited that students this year have the opportunity to have a graduation and be there for each other. And last year, Mr. Costa was building a stage so that kids could be videoed one at a time, walking around it. And we watched my son graduate from our family room. So I just think this is, incredible where we are now a year later. And I'm so excited. And the car parade was such a joyous moment last year that I hope everybody can come out and share the seniors on June 10th for the car parade. So exciting stuff for the next couple of weeks. So great. Thank you. Great report, Mr. Mitchell.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is reports of standing committees. The first one is the Fiscal Management Subcommittee update. Mr. DeMonica.
Madam Chair, the Fiscal Subcommittee did meet tonight. Coming up later on will be 10 resolutions for work that starts with the Cumberland High School projects in Cumberland Hill, etc. So we have those resolutions to deal with tonight. We have payment of the bills of well over $2 million in payment of bills. Mr. Prignano gave us his updated report. Right now, we are still trending to the positive at the moment. There are some savings in healthcare. Less students have attended in charter, things like that. We've charged off employees to grants. So Mr. Prignano has a wish list of work to do before the end of the school year to get that in. So we'll be dealing with some of those items as they come up. And then we did hear from Sedesco tonight, and Shauna Spillane did talk about the walk-in at the high school that needs to get replaced. And that will come out tonight on one of our resolutions. So we do have a lot of work, and as Mrs. Demers said earlier, they're going to have a lot of bids to come in through us that we need to vote on as well, so they can get approved by the town council. So that was our fiscal meeting tonight, and we'll get through it as we move on down the line tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DeMonica. Next on the agenda is Policy and Procedures Subcommittee update. Mr. Fiorillo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have not met since I believe it was May 4th, which was right before the special meeting that we had last. We do expect to meet in the next week or two before the next regular policy meeting. We just want to get a jump on the conversation around the middle school grading policy. So I haven't even had a chance to discuss that with my cohorts from policy yet, but that'll be coming up in the next week or two.
Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda is Achievement and Communication Subcommittee update. And that middle school grading, Mr. DeMana is working on that, and we'll be bringing that to Achievement as well. I think before it goes to policy, so we'll be coordinating that. We did meet on May 4th, and I'd say we had a bit of a sobering meeting as Mr. Devana shared where we may be from an achievement perspective and the learning loss that can be expected and the budget constraints that we're under. And, you know, as Mr. Devana said, our momentum prior to the pandemic is definitely at risk and potentially gone. If we continue to operate as we are today, we will regress and not improve. And there's several variables to this, including the learning loss and the impact of the pandemic. There's also some state mandated requirements that are being put upon us around our curriculum. And I know the mayor is actually trying to find some relief for us with the governor in that area. So there's a number of different factors at play, but we, you know, if you've followed our achievement results over the last several years, they have continued to trend upwards. And, you know, we're anticipating now a potential 10% loss in ELA and math that could take us 4 years to recover from. And these variables, coupled with the lack of additional funded positions, Cumberland will struggle to get past our peak and perhaps take several years before we exhibit growth again. It's really troubling. But as Mr. Devana would say, this is based on the data, highly predictable. There are some things that we're looking at. We've got ESSER 2 monies coming in and potentially ESSER 3. And we're considering looking at funding some positions. The only challenge with that is that that money is temporary money, you know, that you have to spend within 3 years. And we will have some decisions to make about, do we want to potentially add positions to aid with our learning loss that we may not be able to sustain long term. Along with that, you know, we really, and with Dr. Thornton coming in and a new strategic plan being created, I think jointly working with the town to look at where do we want to be and how can we get there over the next 3 to 5 years. So there's a lot on the table. I feel confident that Mr. Devana and his team, you know, are kind of analyzing this every which way they can. And with Mr. Prignano and Mr. Mitchell and Dr. Thornton coming in and the mayor, I think all of us working together is figuring out how can we mitigate the learning loss that we can expect. So that was our last meeting, and we will meet again, certainly about the ESSER 2 funds and what we might do with those. And then, as Mark mentioned, the middle school grading policy as well. So that's the update for achievement and communications. The next item on the agenda is the District Health and Wellness Subcommittee update. Mrs. Rogalski.
Yes, thank you. We met on Thursday, May 6th. We discussed a few different things. The first thing we had an update from Dr. Santa on the potential plan for screening and determination of tiers of service for the coming year. She's very excited. She's found what sounds like a really wonderful new program called Pulse that they want to use. Similar to STAR screening that's currently used in the schools, it helps determine students' levels of social emotional health more than education level. So it's something the students answer questions 2 times a year, but it can be used from pre-K all the way to 12th grade. So it's going to give us a nice finger on, no pun intended, the pulse of the students and how they're doing socially and emotionally, which is something that we all know is going to be very important over the next year. She was presenting the program to the mental health staff on May 7th. I'm not sure how that's going to be implemented or when that will fully be decided upon, but it sounds like a really good tool for us to use. She believes it's going to be funded with some of the ESSER funds money. We also reviewed a Google Doc that we've started that we want to pass out for teachers and staff and have available with different resources. We split it into 2 categories of mental health and physical health that teachers and staff can access, whether it be a local yoga class that someone's offering, online resources, school-based resources such as I think one school is doing a book club or a book study group. So we're filling that in to distribute to teachers and staff. We overviewed we had an overview of the WellSat scorecard, which is a scorecard that's used to rate our district policy for health and wellness. And we did really well overall, but there are a few areas that we as a committee would like to improve upon. So over these next 2 months, because we're alternating meetings between district level and school level, we're going to split the areas of that scorecard so that different schools can tackle each layer or each level and hopefully come up with some ideas to improve the policy, whether it be a language change or just saying, yes, we do have this, it's just simply not in the policy. So that will go to policy committee down the road. In the meantime, we do have changes that will be going to policy committee soon that were made at the previous meeting. So we'll be working on that over the next 2 months. And then the last thing that we spoke about was developing some kind of communication tool for sharing information with parents. One of the suggestions was the s'mores campaign for anyone who is with community school. Mrs. Vaughn, the principal, uses that, but just developing something for the fall of 2021 that we can disseminate the information to parents throughout the district, some way to easily do that. So we're looking at ideas for that. And Karen Wetherill from the Rhode Island Healthy Schools Commission is going to share information with us on what other districts are currently using. The next meeting is a local school-based committee meeting, but we hope to get one more in before the end of the school year.
Great. And yeah, and thank you for reminding me about the ESSER 2 funds too, the ESSER funds, looking at mental health, certainly in the teaching positions as well. So great progress on that. Next on the agenda is new business. The first item is discussion and or a vote on proposed G6 contract of Director of Information Technology.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Mitchell.
I don't know if it's appropriate for me to recommend approval.
So Mr. DeMonica?
Madam Chair, I would recommend approval of the G6 contract for the Director of Information Technology. Our solicitor has updated the contracts, and this one contains a stipend for building grounds information in regards to doing building committees, things like that. And we're just codifying this in the contract. So I would move that we approve the G6 contract for a discussion for the Director of Information Technology.
I would second that.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve the contract of Director of Information Technology by Mr. DeMonica and a second by Mrs. Rogalski. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it, 7-0. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda, discussion and or vote on proposed G6 contract of business manager. Mr. DeMonica?
Madam Chair, I will make a motion that we approve the G6 contract for the business manager as well. This is again codifying what we've been doing for the last couple of years with a stipend for the business manager who has been dealing with the building committees and managing just about every project we can imagine for the school district. And I would move that we approve the contract.
I will second.
Okay, motion by Mr. DeMonica and a second by Ms. Smith to approve the proposed G6 contract of the business manager. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, 7-0. Okay, thank you. Mr. DeMonica, the next section
It's
Yeah.
all me.
is all you. I don't know
we
if you
have-
want to take these one at a time or take it as a group.
No, we will vote them one at a time is the policy, how we've been doing this. So I'll go through them as quickly as possible. First item is SCPR 05-2021-13, a resolution authorizing and empowering the Cumberland School Committee to execute a purchase agreement with RLC Properties of Coventry, Rhode Island to remove and dispose the existing walk-in refrigerator at the Cumberland High School in an amount not to exceed $10,000. It was only a sole bidder. was this company here, RLC, which we have used in the past to do different projects. They'll be removing and getting rid of the refrigerator at the high school, which needs to be replaced in the cafeteria. And the money for this comes from the food service account, that any profits that the school district makes goes into a segregated account and can only be used to buy equipment and things like this. So this is where the money's coming from. It's $10,000, and I would move passage.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. DeMonica,
Second.
second by Mr. Collins. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. Motion passes.
Okay, next is SCPR 05-2021-14, a resolution authorizing and empowering the Cumberland School Committee to execute a purchase from Kitteridge of Agawam, Mass. For a walk-in refrigerator at the high school in an amount not to exceed $30,755.87. Again, this is coming from the food service account, and it needs to get replaced. And so I've moved passage.
Second.
Motion by Mr. DeMonica, second by Mr. Collins. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, 7-0. Motion passes.
Next is SCPR 05-2021-15. A resolution authorizing and empowering the Cumberland School Committee to execute a contract with E&E Systems of Canton, Mass. To install energy control systems at the Cumberland High School Wellness Center in an amount not to exceed $104,362. This is coming out of the facilities budget. E&E is our sole provider for the energy systems that we have in the school district, and they were also on the state bid list as well. So I would move passage.
Second.
Motion by Mr. DeMonica,
Sorry.
second by Mr. Collins and Ms. Smith. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it, 7-0. Motion
All right.
passes.
SCPR 05-2021-16, a resolution empowering the Cumberland School Committee to approve the fourth and fifth payments to ADS Construction, Inc. for the Cumberland High School Security Project in an amount not to exceed $127,950. This is the progress payment, number 4 and 5. The architects have signed off on the work, and so has Collier's, our project managers, so they have reviewed it as well. The payment is coming from an $832,000 master lease, and I would move passage.
Second.
Motion by Mr. DeMonica, second by Mr. Collins and Mrs. Rogalski. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Okay, next one, SCPR 05-2021-17, a resolution in empowering the Cumberland School Committee to execute a purchase order with Toronto Architects of Providence, Rhode Island for architectural and engineering services for the high school room renovations as part of the CHS security project in an amount not to exceed $22,828.80. And this money is coming from the $832,000 master lease, and I would move passage.
Second.
Motion by Mr. DeMonica, second by Mrs. Rogalski. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it, 7-0. Motion passes.
Next is SCPR 05-2021-18, a resolution authorizing and empowering the Cumberland School Committee to execute a purchase order with Toronto Architects of Providence, Rhode Island for architectural and engineering services for the Cumberland High School transitional building renovations in an amount not to exceed $32,087.99. And this is coming from the $79 million bond issue. I move passage.
Second.
Motion by Mr. DeMonica, second by Mrs. Rogalski. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I didn't ask about discussion, but I opposed. The ayes have it, 7-0, motion passes.
Okay, next is SCPR 05-2021-19. A resolution authorizing and empowering the Cumberland School Committee to execute a purchase order with Rhode Architects of Providence, Rhode Island for architectural and engineering services for the original high school unit ventilators in an amount not to exceed $41,546.11. The Colliers has approved this invoice, and the coming out of the $79 million bond issue, and I would move passage.
Second.
Motion by Mr. DeMonica, second by Mr. Collins. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it, 7-0, motion passes.
Okay, SCPR 05-2021-20. A resolution authorizing and empowering the Cumberland School Committee to execute a purchase order with Rhode Architects of Providence, Rhode Island for architectural and engineering services for the Cumberland High School transitional building unit ventilators in an amount not to exceed $40,890.75. This has gone through Colliers and they've approved the invoice. And the money for this is coming from the $79 million bond issue, and I would move passage.
Second.
Motion by Mr. DeMonica, second by Mrs. Rogalski and Mrs. Feather. Any discussion?
Yeah, Madam Chair,
Oh,
I just want to add that we had a very lengthy discussion about these resolutions during budget. So it's not that we're trying to, you know what I mean? And I believe everybody was in attendance, and I think most people understand that. But if anybody's just jumping in and is like, geez, they're spending a lot of money very quickly. No, this was heavily vetted during budget earlier this evening publicly.
Right.
Yeah, thank you for
Again,
that
some
clarification.
some of these items have already gone through the building committee as well.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
next.
So wait, I didn't take the vote on that yet.
I'm sorry.
Motion by Mr. DeMonica, the second by Mr. Collins. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, 7-0, motion passes.
Okay, now we get to the real money. All right, SCPR 05-2021-21. A resolution authorizing and empowering the Cumberland School Committee to execute a purchase order with Rhode Architects of Providence, Rhode Island for architectural and engineering services for the JJM Cumberland Hill Elementary School renovations. The amount not to exceed $132,052.44. Again, this invoice has been approved by Colliers, our OPM, and the money is coming from the $79 million bond issue, and I would move passage.
Motion by Mr. DeMonica, second by Mrs. Rogalski. Any discussion? No, all in favor?
All right,
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, 7-0, motion passes.
okay, last one, SCPR 05-2021-22. A resolution empowering the Cumberland School Committee to approve payment for Colliers International of Providence, Rhode Island for the owner's representation services for the month of March in an amount not to exceed $12,710.84. And this payment is coming from the $79 million bond, and I would move passage.
Second.
Motion by Mr. DeMonica, second by Ms. Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it, 7-0, motion passes.
Okay, that takes care of the resolutions. Now I have payment of bills, Madam Chair.
Okay,
Okay, so we have payment of bills in the amount of $2,697,829.96. It passed 3-0 in the fiscal subcommittee meeting tonight, and I would move passage.
Second with discussion?
Madam
Okay.
Chair, just one item. Mrs. Smith did bring up some items that the business office will get a copy of for us for some resolutions from Apple that we had made some purchases from, and Mr. Pregnano will get us, or Mr. Chandler, one or the other will get us the resolutions to put into our folder, because they've already been approved in the past. That's why I just wanted to make that note in the discussion. So the amount is $2,697,829.96.
okay, so Mr. DeMonica makes a motion to approve payment of bills. And we have a second for discussion by Ms. Smith.
Yes, it was just to Mr. Demodica's point. So thank you for that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? The ayes have it 7-0.
How you done?
Thank you, Mr. DeMonica. The next item on the agenda is comments from the public. And if you're in the public, you can raise your virtual hand or unmute. Mr. Chandler will bring you in.
I don't see anybody on the phone, but if anybody would like to raise their hand to speak. I don't see anybody at this time.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is school committee comments, school liaison reports. Any comments from the school committee? Ms. Smith.
I'd just like to remind everybody to look at your golden ticket for the Feinstein weekly drawings. And I only say that because in community, there have been 3 ticket numbers pulled that are very close to what a lot of children have. So we're just wondering if the winners are out there and we just haven't reported them yet. But good idea to do that, especially when money goes directly into the schools and can help out with that.
Good tip. Any other comments? Okay. Mr. Fiorello?
Right. I don't have the schedule for the budget meetings in front of me. Were you going to mention those, Madam Chair, or Mr. DeMonica?
I have them now, if you'd like me to. So the upcoming town budget meetings, just for everyone's information, the first public hearing is Monday, May 24th at 6:30 p.m. Then there is a finance subcommittee public hearing on Tuesday, May 25th at 6 p.m. And then the second public hearing and the first vote by the town council to approve the mayor's budget is Wednesday, June 2nd at 7:30 p.m. And then the final vote happens on Monday, June 7th at 6:30 p.m. And then Mr. Fiorello, thank you. And I just want to publicly acknowledge, I got a phone call from Gary Parento, who is a parent in the community, but also the owner of Discover Books. And he has generously offered to donate many books to our district, like thousands if we want them. And they're elementary school books. And we've reached out to the principals and we're working with them now. You know, for example, communities already, Ms. Vaughn already has already written back and we'll take about 2,000 of those books to be able to give to the students and to have in the classrooms. So I just want to thank Mr. Parento for thinking of us and for reaching out and being able to get more books in the hands of our students. So thank you, Mr. Parento. Okay, if there aren't any other comments, the next item on the agenda is a vote to go into executive session, but I don't believe, Mr. Mitchell, we have that tonight.
That is correct, Madam Chair.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn by Mr. Fiorello,
Second.
second by Mrs. Feather and Mr. Collins. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed. The ayes have it 7-0. The meeting is adjourned at 8:28 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.
Have a nice
Good
night.
night. Good night. Thank you.